Masechta bava basra daf chavtes amud aleph, 5 lines in the top. So yesterday we learned that according to the Rabbanan, you need 3 years, consecutive years, in order that it should be a chazaka. And where do we want to learn it out from? From the Nevi'us of Yirmiyah. Yirmiyah had said that for another 2 years you're going to be in Eretz Yisrael, buy yourself fields, but make sure you're right. Buy real estate, and make sure you buy these houses, but make sure you have documents.
And you have to have
a star, because if you're not going to have a chazaka, you're not going to be there 3rd year. So if you want to say, Abaye said maybe it was Pa'itz at Teva. Maybe he's coming to tell him good advice. Where do we see he came to tell him good advice? Because he told him right at the beginning in Golas Bubble, says build yourself houses, plant your gardens, because you're going to be here for 70 years in the Golas Bubble. So you don't think you're going right back. And another thing is, we see he told him how to put away the documents, that it should be preserved for a long time. He told him put it in Kli Cheres, and so we know he was telling good advice. So according to Rabbanan, how do you know you need 3 consecutive years? Rather, Rava says, Shata Kamaisa Mochalinish. The first year a person is Meichel. He sees a person, he lets him stay there. Tarte Machel, 2 years. If he's there, he's also Machel.
Oh, the 3rd year.
But last loy Machel, 3rd year is Shanish Machel. And if he was there for 3 years, then he has a chazaka, and therefore, if he timed it that he bought it and he has 3 years of chazaka, he should have been meicha.
Even though he doesn't show the star.
Yeah, because he says after 3 years, I don't watch my star. Or we say it's not even mitzad the star. He says I bought it and I have a chazaka because you should have made a macha, and since you weren't meicha, I could even learn mitzad mechila that it was meicha. Amalei Abaye said Elamiyata, only according to what you're saying now. Ki hada ara, when he returns the land after, let's say, 2 years, before 3 years, you should return it without returning the fruits. Let him just return the land. Why? Because we said these 2 years he was meichelim. If he was meichelim, and he used it, he ate there, and he didn't say a word. So if you're saying it's mitzad mechila, the first 2 years he's meichel, only after the 3rd year he's not meichel. So whatever he ate, let him keep. Aloma why did Rav Nachman say in a case when the machzik brings eidim, that the seller brings eidim that he ate there for 2 years, hada payah, he has to return the land plus the payahs. L'chayr, if we're saying this svara is that he's meichel. Says the Gemara, Rava gives a new teretz. Shata kamaisa loy kapedinish. The first year, person is nicht as a makbid. Nicht was says meichel. He's not meichel. He's not meichel. But he's not. He doesn't start screaming. I'm not meichel what you're doing, but I'm not going to stop making taram. I'm not happy.
That makes sense. I'm not meichel, but you can do what you want, right?
Not what you could do. I'm not going to make a taram, but I'm showing you a displeasure what you're doing. But I'm not.
Why wouldn't he be
I'm not makbid enough to make a machav. You're right. So he says that even though he's not meicher, so it's just he's not makbid. It's just because if you're not makbid doesn't mean you're meicher. You're not meicher. You ate. You'll pay me back later. Tarte loy kapit. 2 years he's not makbid.
Before we said that the Rabbah, we don't know who you're going to get. They the big shutfah, because you don't know who's going to pay you, right? So if I'm sitting in your field and you're not makbid, and you come back in the 2nd year, I want you to pay me for all the payers that you ate all the years. Kushma.
Okay, so he says that no, he's going to bezna will be mechayv. You know you don't belong there. I'm not going to make a fuss about it, but if you're there, you're mamish in my face. It's not enough for me to get angry enough to start, making a machav.
2 years makes me angry.
After 2 years, I'm older, not makbid. But the class, a 3rd year, kapit, he's makbid. Zok the Gemara, Amalei Abaye, only Abaye said back, Elamiyata kegoyin hani debate bar al Yoshiv. These people of Bar Yoshiv, they were right away. B'tkifas, the first day, they were makbid. This Bar Yoshiv, there was a Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yoshiv, who was a very special person. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yoshiv, he was able to give brachas for Hashidus. He was able to give brachas for to heal people, and he also gave a bracha that the person should be beautiful. He had that, and he had that power. Later on, people came And to be wise, people came to him. Says he already lost the power, but it was that Yitzhak Bar Yasser we had. Anyway, so but they were very makbid. They were a tough family. They kept the afilah aman the cholav mitzvah did too. They were even makbid. You know, you remember we said by the gvulim they would make it like a little furrow, a little hill to show where the gvul is. So people from the Rosh Hashanah would sometimes walk on that. You walked on that thing. I'm saying like
You got Malchus.
yeah, it's like in the Hicksvilles. You come out and the guy comes with a big gleich. No trespassing, you know.
No trespass.
There's no such a thing. So the mother, the kap, I feel I'm on the chola mitzvah who the makbar even on the mitzvah. Are we going to say over here? Are you stalling kpeda? So, but they're not makbar after 3 years. They're makbar on the first day. And if he came the first day and they weren't makbar, it should be a chazaka right away. And if you're going to say takib by such people who are makbid the first day, it'll be a chazaka if he wasn't makbid. In kenasato the varachal is yurin. You're making a takana with a whole bunch of. For this guy, it's 1 day. For that guy, he gets takes him a week to get angry. The other guy, 4 weeks. Chacham don't do such a thing. They make one takana and
The other
finish.
guy almost 3 years.
Yeah. So you don't have one set takana. The chacham is supposed to make one set. Right, you can't use the. So this whole answer of kpeda is not a good svara because if it's telling kpeda, then you're never gonna have one set takana for everybody because everybody has a different. How do you call it? Absorbance, how much they can take. Zog the Gemara. Only Rabbi says Shata Kamaisa Mizdai Inish Bistada. The first year a person is careful with the shtar. Tarte Utlas Mizdaya. The second and the third year, they're still careful with the shtar. More than 3 years, they're not careful. That means they'll lose the shtar. Unless you make a machah, so they know they have to hold on to the shtar. But if you don't say...
So if you don't
you're not meicha, he says, okay, he's not careful with the shtar. Amalei Abai said back, Elamiyata, if it's totally in how much a person is careful to watch a shtar, so so we learned that the owner can be in Eretz Yisrael. You have a land in America. The guy is making chazakah there. You in Eretz Yisrael can go in front of 2 Eidim. You don't even have to call him up and say, "I'm making a protest about the guy in America," and it's a machar. It shouldn't be a machar. The Malay, because the machzik, the one that's making a chazak, he says. He says, if you would have made a machal in my face, I would have held on to my star, but now I didn't know. Yeah, I wouldn't have, I know that you're starting to make me problems. You're not right, so I would hold on to my star. So, but it should be befunov. And Chavra Islay. If your friend has a friend, the friend of your friend has a friend also, and eventually it gets out there, like WhatsApp. You send a WhatsApp, and then it goes into a group WhatsApp, and then it gets all over the.
Even if he's a Nazi soul, he's an American.
It's a good macha. It gets to you. Yes. Right. Rav Huna hat gesagt. Now we're talking about more details of the halacha of Chazak Cheske Sholosh Sholish Shonim Shamru. The 3 years that the chazaka that we established is dafke achol netzufes. Only if he ate 3 consecutive years, not that 1 year he ate, skips a year, then he eats the next year. It doesn't go.
Every year he ate.
Every 1, 2, and 3. It can't be. I ate the first year, and then I ate the 3rd year, I ate the 6th year. It's a chazaka. I had altogether 3 years. No, it has to be 1, 2, and 3 consecutively.
3 years,
yeah. Yep. In fact, what does he come to teach us? Tanina. We learned the finish of the Mishnah. Cheskos and Shaloshanim yoim liyoim. It has to be consecutive, day to day. You can't miss. In the Mishnah we learned this.
Fruit has to be taste every day.
By Stada Elam, we said it's 3 different paydas that you bring in. But by a day Lavan, it's constant every day. A field that's constantly used. You have to have 3 consecutive years. So you don't have a raya from our Mishnah. Why? I would have thought when the Mishnah said he's coming to exclude that they're not full years, like we said, like as day Elon, you can have 18 months according to Rabbi Yishmael, or 14 months according to Rabbi Akiva, but not 3 full years. I would think you don't need 3 full years by his day Lavan. Well, Olam, and he's come to tell you this Tana. I mean, the Rabbanan come to tell you Afilim for Zaris, that even if the 3 years were full 3 years, right? But it wasn't consecutive. Kamash Malon. That's what the Mishnah is coming to tell us. That you need Shalish Shanim Reftzufes, even if you have full years, not Mekutais, full years, not spread out. Amen. Rav Chama Yizak made it Rav Huna, but Asid the Meive Bahagi. Rav Chama says that Rav Huna is made in a place where they leave the fields for 1 year empty. Plus, the fields you have more koyach, it will give off. It's beneficial for the next potatoes that come out. Will be much better. In the places that they leave, they plant 1 year and they let 1 year alone. Says Gemara Pshita. If everybody does that, it's a davar pashut. That it's the chazaka won't help. Only I'm sorry. That the chazaka will help, but of course I'm telling you the chazaka will help only after you do 3 years of eating. Meaning you can't count the year that you let go.
You can't 1 year, the second,
1 year. It'll be every other year, like everybody. But you're only gonna have a chazaka at the 6th year. The first year you eat, second year you leave go because you want to have more kayach. Third year you eat, the fourth year you leave it again, and the 5th year. So it's 1, 3, and 5. I'm sorry. After the 5th year, you have a chazaka. So zok the Gemara so pshita t'schadava pashit. That's what everybody does. So the Gemara it's not so pashit. Leitzicha says the Gemara it's not so pashit. Why? The iked the moiva, the iked the lay moiva. It's a place. What? Moiva means you leave it fallow. You leave it unworked. So he says there are people in that valley that some of them leave it fallow and some don't. So the Gemara of a high gavra, moiva. But this guy leaves it fallow. Says the Gemara, Maldatema. I would have thought, hey, we could say to Mamalei that the one that's being ma'ara, the seller, could say to the masik, he said the dachavai. If it was taka yours. You should have planted right away the next year, and the next year it should have been consecutive. You should have never left the field fallow for 1 year and then to go to the next year and eat it.
Because it's mine.
You should have. Kamash Maman. That's why Rav Chama has come to teach us. The Amalei, the Machzik, the one that's making the Chazaka, could say to the one that's being Ma'ar on him, Chado, Ara, Bekuli Baga, Leimatzin Linta. He says, what? I'm one field that I'm working on it. That's between all the fields that are not working. I'm going to pay a shmira for. Usually we'd be meshatif. Everybody in the valley would be meshatif for a shema. Here, I'm going to be the only one, so it's a big expense. V'inami, or another teretz is b'hachin. So I said that's why I didn't do anything. You can't come with tinus to me. V'inami, or the machzik ketaina b'hachin. For me, it's better that I leave the field unworked, fallow, for the 1 year, every other year. Why? Of the tvei, because through the fruits that come out are much stronger, much better. Yeah, if you leave the second year fallow, the third year, first year you plant, second year you leave fallow, the third year it grows much stronger, much better fruits. Yeah. Now we learned the Mishnah. Cheskes Abatim, the Cheskes Abatim is 3 years. By houses, people know you're there by day. By night, shine in the Yenna's Hazen.
There was no lights at that time.
There was no lights. You don't see. Okay, good. But a house is supposed to be used by day and by night. And you have to have edus that you were there 3 full years, including the nights. And you don't have for the night, so it's not going to be consecutive. So you're going to do only for day, it's 6 years of day. So that's not consecutive. You have to have together with the day and the night. Game Laila, yep. Abaye man masid aboti. Says Abaye, who's going to be testifying about the daytime that you're there? Shivave, the neighbors. Shivave, made the yadi b'yimama v'leilia. But your neighbors, you'll be surprised. They know exactly what's doing by day and by night. They can even tell you the conversations you had in your bedroom.
so close.
Yeah, they're so close they can hear everything. And you'll be surprised how much they know. They have no height with the pictures and the videos they can catch it. Rava says, "Kegoyim the asubei trei." It's talking about that two Adam came, but Amni, and they testified. Anan agrina minei. We rented it from him, so we're testifying. We were there renting day and night. We were there for 3 years. But the reading by Klashnin, but your mama will tell you, we lived there for 3 years, day and night. So that's Aedis, the renters. He rented it to them. So you could ask me how he wasn't there. There he's shluchim. So there he's shluchim. Shluchim shalom k'meisai.
You can rent the property, right?
Right, but it says because there is shluchim. Really, this fetches for later. Rav Yemen said to Ravashi, "Hani no yigibei dusanei." These people who rented are negei be'edus, because who are they going to say who's the real owner? The guy who they paid.
Yeah.
They're not going to say the guy who they didn't pay, because if they say it's that guy, they're going to have to pay again. If the
Otherwise, you could throw another apartment.
or throw them out, or demand the money for the years that you lived there. If they're not going to say that this guy is the owner, the guy who they gave the money to, we're going to say to them, now go give again. So up to the new owner that you claim,
The original.
the real owner, you're claiming he's the real owner. You pay the wrong guy. Now go pay this guy. So it's then the gave this. He says, yeah, the Hayonim was Anish Bekiyim in the Din to make that mistake and rely on such aiders that paid already. But he says, Milo Yaskin going in the Kiti Agabe. So we're talking about that they didn't pay yet. So they have a choice to pick a owner to whom they want to pay. So they're not lying. They're asking now, who should we get? There is, right?
What kind of landlord is he that he lets them stay there?
Oh, okay. To who should we give it to? So, but if so, now in such a case, they're not negei be'edus, right?
They say they rented it.
But they say they rented from this guy.
You didn't pay him yet.
We didn't pay him yet. So he says that it's considered as edus again. I told you before, because it's that he took care of them, he rented it to them, and since he's the one that rented it to them.
You have to give it to him.
So he was their shliach. So it's like he was there for 3 years, even though he wasn't actually there. Sagt die Gemara, Oma Mazuta. Mazuta said, "I toyim ve'oma leisutrei sade lahasudile the dobet lash shnei b'yamama b'lalya." Mazuta says, if the me'ara will taina bring 2 elders to testify that you lived there for 3 years, day and night, then Tanase Taina. His Taina is a Taina. What does Mazuta want to say? He says, if the guy says, I lived there for 3 years, and he brings Adam that he lived for 3 years by day, it's including the night. But if he insists, bring a raya who were there by night, then he would have to bring a raya. But L'chatchila, you don't have to bring Adam to say that he was there by night.
So why is
As I state,
why is looking for trouble?
No, he wants to. The seller wants his house back. The original owner. So he says, prove you were there by night. If he doesn't say it, then it's good enough. Here he says, that he says, for the night. Only if the seller says, I know beferish he wasn't there at night, then yitzdarech hamachzik lavi edom
What's the
hakar.
gap? He only stays there in the day. In the night, he goes somewhere
Because a
else.
house is made for day and night, so he has to prove that he used
Let's
it.
say he has
Something that's utilized. Okay, we're going to talk about a traveling salesman in a minute. But over here, we're talking about a guy a house is made to be used for day and night. That's how you make a chazaka. 3 years of using it the way a house is made to be used. It's not talking about his family's there. If his family's there, it would probably be good. Meida mazuta. Mazuta is meida. Bereichlin. By these people that sell cosmetics, perfumes or whatever for women, tachshitim for women. Hamachzidim b'hayoris, they travel from city to city. Dafagav loiton. Even though the Me'ara didn't say beferish that he saw the machzik not live there at night, even if the Reichel would not say, bring Edis, you were there at night, Tarnin le'yanan, Bezdin will time it for him.
They say that he was a
The,
salesman.
the salesman doesn't know because he's not always there. So he can't really say whether he was sleeping there at night or not.
Right, doesn't know where he is? Where he
No,
was?
the salesman is traveling.
Yeah,
So he wasn't always in the city. This guy claims he has a chazaka, and but he can't dispute it because he wasn't there. Huh?
Owner was the traveling.
The owner was traveling, and the marzik says, "I have a chazaka." So Bezdin, even though he can't say, he doesn't know what kind of time is to come up with because he's not there. So Bezdin kicks in for him and says, "Bring proof you were there by nights also, in order to be a chazaka." Okay, but by Benegay, a regular house, Bezdin wouldn't kick in. Only if he Befeda says, "Bring proof," but if not, there will be enough of a chazaka. Rav Huna is made bechanvasa de mechuzah, by the stores in mechuzah, in the city of mechuzah, that they sell wine, bread. That the machzik doesn't have to bring a raya for sleeping there at night. Why? The store is made to use by day, not to sleep there at night.
Right, the daytime you sleep in, the daytime you're selling, you're busy.
Right, by night you don't sleep there. That's why he doesn't have to. You only have to have a chazaka for that item the way it's normally used, and a store is used by day. That's what you need a chazaka for the day. 3 years that you were there for by daytime. Now, if you remember, Rav Machama and Rav Ukva bar Chama were brothers, and if you remember, Rav Machama Rav Chisda had a daughter. And we just had it I don't know how long ago. Rav Chisda had a daughter, and he asked his daughter, he was sitting with Rav Machama and Rava, and he asked his daughter, "Who do you want to have?" She says, "I want both. I want Rav Machama and Rava." So right away, Rava says, "I'll go last." And so why did he make that cheshbon? So that he should live longer. Anyway, so here two brothers, Rav Machama and Rav Ukva bar Chama, Zavan Ahi Amsa, Bahadi Adadi. They bought this maid together. Ishtamish bar Rishona, Shlishis v'Chamisha, Chamishis. Mar, one of the brothers, Ishtamish bar Rishona, Shlishis v'Chamishis, had the maid for the first, third, and fifth year.
She was working for him.
Yeah, but for both of them. But the way they made it is nobody should be able to make a chazak on the other. So one used it the first, third, and fifth year. Umari ishtamish bar shniya reviyah reviyas v'shishis. So it wouldn't be straight 3 years. Exactly. Neither of them could have a chazak on the other. That's why they did it. Nafekari you love it. So the original seller came and said, "Hey, it's mine. You guys don't deserve the maid belongs to me. I never sold it to you." Also, the Kamei de Rava. They came before Rava. Rava said, "My time avidu hachi. Why did you do this? Why did you make the years in such a eifin? Why did you divide it in such a eifin? Kehechi delay tachziku adadi. So neither should be able to make a chazak on the other to claim that it's his Amma." So Rava said, just like you made between each other, you shouldn't be able to make a chazaka on each other. For the rest of the world, it's also not going to be a chazaka, and therefore you have to provide a shtar that it was sold. Sagt die Gemara, first everybody asks, zwei Brüder, tzaddikim. What, they were afraid that one is going to steal it because of a chazaka? So they just don't want, when it comes to something that chas v'sholom, your yetzer hara can jump on you, just try to avoid that you don't even get a chance to take it. Lo yamar, and says Gemara, lo kasav itra, kasav itra. Only if there was no star written that they bought it and they bought the Amma together, and this is how they're going to divide it. Ava kasav itra. But if there was a star that was written that this is the way the division is going to be, Kalayislay says, in such a case, everybody knows that the two brothers bought it.
So they don't have to split the years?
So they do split the years, but nevertheless, after 3 years, it's a chazaka. Once there's a star that these two people bought it, and 3 years went by, there's a star, it belongs to both of them. and 3 years go by, even though each one is using a different year, that has nothing to do with each other. It's both making a chazaka together because the star represents the Amma was bought, and after 3 years, it's enough of a chazaka. Amma Rava, and therefore after 3 years, it will be taka chazaka. Amma Rava Gizak.
But they have a star, so what do they need a chazaka for?
What?
Is the star, right?
Yeah, but there was a star. There was a coil. The star was there.
Right?
They bought it with
What
shtutvis.
do you need the chazaka? They want.
No, and then the star got lost. But there was already a coil that there was a star.
Okay.
Amar Rava had gesagt, Achola Kula, that if the Mazik used the whole Sada, Chutz mi Beisayva, except for a little piece of the Sada on the side, Kana Kula, Chutz mi Beisayva. He's kinda with the Chazaka, the whole field, except a little piece of the field that he wasn't using.
Because he can't prove anything.
No, he didn't use it. If you didn't use it, you don't have a Chazaka.
What's the nice?
Huh?
What's the nice?
Maybe Kinyanagav. You would say together it's part of the same field.
You use the whole field and make it.
No, he left out of the corner of the field.
Yes, and we make the nice.
Uh-huh.
And if left over half the field, it would be the same.
The nice is, let's say it's a part of a field that you can't plant. Then it's a kinyan. If that part was a part that you couldn't do, it wasn't fertile, it was a bedrock there, then it would be kind of with the whole field. Als kinyagav. That's the halacha. Because he couldn't do nothing there. Here, it says, Avol la baziyehu kanamei agavar. But what's if that corner of the field, you couldn't anyway utilize it? Let's say there was a rock, a big rock, you can. Then he's came with als kinyanagav. Mascular Abibi Barabaya. Abibi Barabaya asked the question, Elamiata, only now, Tsunma, a field that is all bedrock. Bama Yikna, how could he be koined? How is it Shai Chazaka there? You can't do nothing. Says Elabe Ukmai Ba Chivaso Umishnecha Ba Pere. That you through this that you put chayas, your behemoths on that area in that area, or you spread out your dried figs to dry in that whole shatach. So that if you used it somehow, then it's chazaka. Hachanami. In fact, you wonder if so over here, even when the little shatach was not that chelik cotton that was not ready to be used, he should have placed his animals there. Inami he should have spread out his figs to dry there, and since he didn't do it, the chazaka shouldn't help even for that shatach that it wasn't fertile. We said before he's going to be kohen mitzad kinyanagav. So Rabbi Abaye was asking, why? Just because he can't plant it, there's a way to make a chazaka. He should have placed the behemoths there. He should have spread out the figs.
Before we said even it was not
What do you mean? That he put his behemoths there? He spreads out his payers to dry, so now you can't walk there. It's not non-usable. He put out his payers. Don't walk there. Stay away. It's his place to walk. Get five. I have my payers there. He has to make a macha, and if he doesn't make a macha, that means he was a kainet. There was a story where one said to his friend, "My boy is my base. What are you doing in my house? It's my house." Amalei, the Maslik says, I bought it from you, and I ate there for 3 years. Amalei, what are you talking about? You were there for 3 years, exclusive. Amalei, he says to him, I was living in the house myself in the inner rooms. I was always there. I never left.
How do you find him inside there?
No, he says I always lived there, and I don't know. I went out through the back door. I never saw you. You went out through you lived on the outer room. I lived, or like he lived in the basement. I was living in the basement. You were on the upper floors. I used to go out through the basement. You went out through the upper floors. I didn't see you. Amalei, yeah. So also the Kamei, the Rav Nachman, they came before Rav Nachman. Amalei, so Rav Nachman said to the Machzik, Zil B'raya Achilascha, go prove that you were the only one living there for the 3 years. That's the only chazaka you could have. You were there exclusively. If you weren't there exclusively, you don't have chazaka. The Balabayas was there. In order for
Who's
you,
he saying go bring
he
presents
tells
to
the
house?
Marzik. The Marzik claims it's my house. I have a chazaka.
Yeah, but he was living in the basement. he said.
But the guy says, "What are you talking about? You didn't own this house. This house wasn't exclusively to you. I was living in the house the whole time. So you don't own the house. I was there myself. The owner says I was there in the house myself.
I didn't throw you out there.
I didn't see you. I
So
can't
who
even
has to
say."
bring proof here?
So the Masik, if he wants to claim that he has a chazaka, he has to bring proof that he was the one that lived exclusively. Nobody else.
Well,
the
he
Balama.
lived there and the owner lived there.
Then it's not a chazaka. The only way you can have a chazaka is only if he wants to claim the whole house as his. If he was there exclusively, he himself for 3 years.
Maybe he let the owner live there.
He didn't know.
The owner,
That's the deal.
that we won't go because there you're going to kick in the ches marakama, the meicha. The only way you're going to prove that it's yours, you were there 3 years and you didn't watch your star.
Then you
But
need
if they,
proof. Then you prove it. You made a deal that
yeah,
you
then you
remain
have to
there
for sure,
for
for
another
sure.
5 years, or 10
For
years,
sure.
and,
Amalei Rabba Hachi Dina. Rabba argued. That's the din. He says, I argue with you. He claims he was there. The Maksik claims he was there 3 years. Nobody said a word to him. He was in most of the house. So this guy who claims he was there in the basement, whatever, let him bring the proof. I have a
He's the
chazaka.
original owner, right?
The original owner let him bring proof that he was there, that he was living there.
But he lived in the
While the
basement.
one he was living in the basement, bring proof you were there in the basement. Bring
Let's say he
proof.
was living there 10 years ago, right? And then he went away on a trip, and then
For
this
3
guy
years?
lived in for 3 years. So
And then the Meicha has to bring, then it's Hamitz Mechaber Al because he didn't have to watch his star.
Not the Moshe, the original guy, the original owner.
The original owner, yeah, that's called a Meicha. The seller has to bring proof that he still owns the house. Okay, we'll have to stop over here.